They do. This is a concept called uncanny valley, where people have a strange, uneasy feeling when they look at robots that are too lifelike, or anything that looks or acts human, but there's something off about them. This concept was introduced in the 70s by a professor at the Tokyo Institute of Technology named Masahiro Mori. He coined the term uncanny valley to describe his observation that as robots
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel, man. You guys already know what we do, man. We break down scary and creepy videos, man, from the net, from TikToks to YouTube to Reels, man. Anything you weird, unusual, and unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. Got a good one for you guys today, man. So, let's dive on in.
5 men have vanished after boarding a submersible to visit the Titanic. Last Sunday, 5 people boarded a submersible, which is kind of like a submarine in Newfoundland, Canada, but has lost contact with the operator only 1 hour and 45 minutes into the trip. The Titan was built for tourists to visit the wreck of the Titanic, which is located 12,400 feet underwater. It has 96 hours of oxygen available, which means that the people inside will run out of oxygen by Thursday. The Titan can reach 13,123 feet underwater, and it's operated using what looks like a modified game controller. The 5 people who boarded the Titan are known to be wealthy businessmen as well as a 19-year-old boy. But what's interesting to me is that everyone had to sign a waiver accepting that this submersible can potentially cause their death. The Titan only started taking people down in 2021, and it's been reported that there's been so many issues with this process. And keep in mind that it's not cheap to do this excursion. Everyone paid $250,000. Nevertheless, I hope the Titan is found and everyone is brought back home safe.
The woman.
We all know how that story ended, man. But even like reviewing this video, man, I didn't know that there was like so many problems with that process. It made it seem like that it was like smooth sailing from what I heard, bro. That's what I said, man. Watching these videos together with you guys, I always learn something new, man. That was just a freaking tragedy, bro. How that story ended. Tell me what you guys think, man, about that story.
Who survived Ted Bundy. Carol Darren was nearly one of Ted Bundy's victims as he pretended he was a police officer, telling her that she needed to file a police report for a break-in on her car. She fought for her life and managed to flee the car and get help from somebody driving the other way.
She had to fight her way out, man. It's freaking crazy, bro, to think about, man. You're trying to file a report for your car, bro, and it turns out there's some freaking maniac trying to freaking hurt you, bro, and you gotta fight your way out, man. It's like a fight or flight situation, man. You don't know how your body will freaking react to that, bro. Tell me what you guys think, man, about that freaking case, man. She's lucky she got away. Because, you know, not too many people did, man, got from Ted Bundy, bro. So, it's blessed that she got away, man. Tell me what you guys do in that situation, bro. I need to know.
6 teenage boys played a harmless ding-dong ditch prank on this man's home, and just minutes later, 3 of them were dead. On the evening of January 19th, 2020, 6 teenage boys and best friends were having a sleepover and celebrating Jacob Avosku's 16th birthday. Later that night, one of the boys was dared to either jump into a pool or ding-dong ditch somebody's house, and after choosing the latter, they all got into a Prius driven by their 18-year-old friend and picked a random house. The house they chose belonged to 45-year-old Anurag Chandra in Corona, California. Once there, one of the teens hopped out, rang the doorbell, mooned the camera, and then got back into the Prius where they quickly drove off. But this harmless prank angered Anurag so much that he got into his car and started chasing the teens. He was going 99 miles per hour in a 40-mile-per-hour zone, and when he caught up to the Prius, he intentionally rammed into the back and side of it. This caused it to go off the road, quickly slamming into a tree and utility pole. The crash immediately killed Drake Ruiz, Daniel Hawkins, and Jacob Avosku, all 16 years old. According to Anurag, he didn't stop after the crash and proceeded to go home after hitting the kids because he didn't think anyone was hurt. He was arrested at his home later that same night. The driver and 2 other 13-year-olds who were also in the car were injured but survived the crash. During the investigation, Anurag said that the prank angered him so much, but also said that he decided to chase after the teens because he was worried for his family's safety after being mooned. It was also revealed that in the 3 hours before the prank, Anurag consumed 12 beers and was highly intoxicated. Anorak has just been charged with 3 counts of murder and 3 counts of attempted murder and has since pleaded not guilty. He's due back in court on July 14th and faces life in prison without parole. It's also worth noting that at the time of the killings, Anorak was already facing domestic violence and battery charges in an unrelated incident.
Goes to show you, man, if you can play a harmless prank, bro, and I guess, like I said, to different people, bro, you can't prank people because they either take it like too seriously, and they freaking take it the wrong way, and look what tragedy happened, man. Like, he like to go that fast and like essentially like try to ram them off the road, bro. It's freaking crazy, man. And then like those 3 freaking teenagers, man, passing away, bro. And he already had a history in that before, and they didn't make it better. That he said they drunk like 12 beers. That just made his situation and his judgment, that would make him even worse, bro. Crazy, man. Tell me if you guys ever played any harder pranks to somebody that it could have taken like a bad turn, bro. What do you guys think about that case, man? It's freaking mind-blowing, bro. The things people would do. I don't know what that kid was looking at.
On May 20th, 2022, Orono police in Minnesota pulled over Julissa Thaler for driving with a shattered windshield and on one rim. During the traffic stop, the police noticed blood on Thaler's hand, as well as a shotgun shell, a spent shell casing, and a bullet hole in the back seat of the car. Upon further investigation, the police discovered a child's body in the trunk. The child was later identified as Eli Hart, a kindergarten student who aspired to become a firefighter. Additionally, a shotgun was found in the trunk. Just 10 days prior to this incident, Thaler had been granted full custody of Eli after a lengthy custody battle. Unfortunately, the 6-year-old boy had been shot 9 times with a shotgun, and part of his remains had been disposed of in a gas station dumpster. The state of Minnesota offered Thaler a second-degree murder charge, which carries a 40-year sentence instead of first-degree murder, which mandates a life sentence upon conviction. However, Thaler refused the deal, asserting, "I would never do that to my son. I want to go to trial." On February 2023, Hennepin County District Court Judge Jay Quam sentenced Thaler to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
She did that freaking truly evil and horrific act to her son, man. I said that she was fighting for custody, a lengthy custody battle. She got it, and she did the unthinkable. And tried to play it off saying like it was deer meat and stuff like that. You saw the freaking bullet hole, the freaking shattered glass, and she was driving on one rim. And what she said at the end to those people, man, just said, freaking, just cursed them out, bro. Just shows you, man, like how this world, bro, how freaking it's a dark place, man. Freaking bone chilling cage, bro. Man. You guys know the drill. Christmas things, did that back in the day. I said, freaking, well, you know it's not good for the, I guess, they're not good for the planet or seas, man, with all those balloons gonna come down. Took out all those damn animals, but they said freaking 2 people passed away from that freaking tragic event too, man. You know, I guess the person was playing the damn thing, probably didn't fully think about the consequences because you didn't think if it released a bunch of balloons about how like if you can how possibly like people could pass away or how it could affect the I guess ecosystem or something like that. So you always gotta think through, man. Always gotta plan ahead or really think about what you're doing, man. Think about all the consequences that could happen, bro. You just have to nowadays, man. You don't have no choice. You have no idea.
Do these images make you uncomfortable? If they do, this is a concept called uncanny valley, where people have a strange, uneasy feeling when they look at robots that are too lifelike, or anything that looks or acts human, but there's something off about them. This concept was introduced in the 70s by a professor at the Tokyo Institute of Technology named Masahiro Mori. He coined the term uncanny valley to describe his observation that as robots appear more human-like, they become more appealing, but only to a certain point. Let me know in the comments if you experience this.
Really? Uncanny Valley. I do kind of get like a weird, creepy feeling when I do look like it's something that's like it could be human, but you know it's not. It's something else, like a freaking doll or something like that. Tell me if in the comment section down below, guys, if you guys like ever experienced, I guess, what they said Uncanny Valley. I definitely have a couple of times, bro. That ain't for me, man.
The indescribable pain of two families brought together in circumstances no parent would wish for. Their grief still so very raw as they came together to remember Barnaby Webber and Grace O'Malley Kumar. On this intense summer's day, thousands of students and staff gathered at a vigil on their university campus to pause and reflect and listen as their fathers spoke of their loss.
I've lost my baby boy, and I can't even comprehend how I'm going to deal with it. Myself and Emma and Charlie and his family and friends. Well, I know Bundy will be super touched by everyone that's here, and he loved it. He loved it here. His heart will be with you guys forever.
All of you guys, everywhere that I see of people. Such a lovely sign of the university and the bond you have. Grace was also like Barney. She loved coming up to Nottingham. Look after each other. It's the big thing. Is that look after your friends and look after people around you. This is so important.
Grace had dreamt of becoming a doctor. Barnaby was a talented young cricketer studying history. And today the third victim was named as Ian Coates, a school caretaker just months away from retirement. His family described his death as having rocked their world.
Imagine like the freaking unthinkable happening, man, to your freaking kids and stuff like that, and they had to give up. They had to shrimp up there to go and give them that speech, bro. Man, I gotta do some more research up in that case to see like all the details and stuff of what really happened. It's just a freaking sad and truly horrific case, man. Let's move on, bro. That bro. That is creepy.
When he said, "You're never getting out of here," I knew that was my life flashing in front of me. It sure has changed a lot, all the new buildings.
But the memories of a snowy Seattle day in 1972 are clear and haunting.
He was dressed real nice, handsome looking.
It was in this area. This has all been changed.
Car pulled up to the curb, rolled down the window, and said, "Hello, young lady. Are you waiting for the bus?" He goes, "Well, you know, I've come down Rainer Avenue, and that's a long ways, and there's not a bus in sight. Would you like a ride?"
So you hopped in his car, not thinking it was going to be a problem at all?
No, I thought how happy I am now. I'm in a warm car and I get to where I'm going. He started, reaching under the seat, started yelling at me, why did you take this ride? Why did you even think about taking this ride? You're never going to make it to the school. And I thought, wow. I was sobbing and praying and, pleading for my life practically. Don't do anything. Don't harm me. And you should have never taken this ride. And shut up.
She says Bundy's beratement led to a bizarre demand.
He goes, take your hat off. And I said, what do you mean take my hat off, my stocking cap off? What for? And he goes, why did you cut your hair? Why did I cut my hair? I keep thinking, did he stalk me? Did he see me somewhere? Was he waiting for me or was he watching?
How did he know?
He says, well, put that hat back on.
So Tria speculates the hair that she had cut a week earlier may have saved her life.
He could have killed me. It was just thank God I had gotten my hair cut.
This is what happened to sisters Sarah and Amina.
Really? It's the smallest things, man. Like I said, when we learning these stories together, man, it's because of her hair. Because she cut her hair, he let her go. I guess he only wanted like long hair women and girls, man. Crazy. And I'm about to say, he said, why did you cut your hair? So how did he know? Like, was he watching her for a minute? Or stalking her, bro? Said these cases, man, they open up so many freaking questions, man, that I gotta answer for myself, just like you guys have too, bro. Tell me in the comment section down below, guys, what you guys thinking about that one? That's the new one that I haven't heard before.
Saeed and how they identified their killer in a 911 call. Amina was born on March 3rd, 1989 in Dallas, Texas, and her younger sister Sarah was born on March 16th, 1990, also in Dallas, Texas. Had an older brother named Islam, and their parents were Patricia Owens and Yasser Saeed. There's a very big age gap between Patricia and Yasser. When they started dating, Patricia was only 14 years old and Yasser was 29. Within 3 weeks of dating, Yasser and Patricia decided to get married. Now, the only way that Patricia was allowed to get married is by her parents' permission. The way they got this is that Yasser told her family that he was wealthy and that he would provide for Patricia. Now, Patricia's family didn't come from a lot of money, so when they heard this, they agreed and they allowed Patricia to marry Yasser at 15 years old. However, what Yasser said wasn't technically true. He didn't come from a lot of money. In fact, he actually worked as a taxi driver, which there's nothing wrong with, but he lied to Patricia. They got married and she actually had to work multiple jobs to help provide for the family. About 6 months into their marriage, things started to go downhill. Patricia claims that Yasser became physically and mentally abusive. When Amina and Sarah were 8 and 9 years old, they told their maternal grandmother that their father, Yasser, had been essaying them for about 2 to 3 years. Of course, the grandmother told Patricia about what the girls had said, so Patricia packed up their things and moved out. Officers went to go speak to Amina and Sarah, and they told the police that their father had put his front part into their front part. However, before Yasser could get arrested, the girls recanted their statement. Now, Patricia's side of the family believes that Yasser somehow convinced Patricia to convince the girls to recant everything and to admit that they made everything up. For some reason, police just believed them and they never followed through with the investigation. After they recanted their statement, they packed everything back up and they moved back in with Yasser. Even though they recanted their statement, a lot of people feel like the girls were telling the truth. There are these home videos made by Yasser and they just make you feel so uncomfortable. In this video here, Amina and Sarah were in their bed trying to hide from their father. He kept filming them and the girls kept telling him to go away, to erase the footage, and to leave them alone. At one point, Yasser tells her brother Islam to remove the girl's blanket, and Islam does. After the blankets get removed, Yasser starts to tell the girls that they have very nice legs, and he also zooms in on Sarah's butt. Yes, he's zooming in on his own daughter's body. It's just very creepy, and you can clearly see that both girls are uncomfortable with their father. By the time the girls were teenagers, Yasser was already trying to set them up with an arranged marriage back in Egypt. Obviously, the girls did not want this. They wanted to date and, find their own person, but Yasser wanted to set them up. On December 24th, 2007, Amina refused another one of her dad's proposals for an arranged marriage. And this made him angry, so Patricia and the girls packed up their things and left. Everyone kept telling Patricia to not go back to Yasser, but unfortunately, she did. Amina actually had a secret boyfriend at the time, and when she found out that her mom was going back to Yasser, she texted him this. January 1st, 2008, 911 received a phone call from 17-year-old Sarah Saeed. He told the operator, "Help me, my dad shot me, I'm dying." Okay, more in part 2. This is what happened to 14-year-old Norma Lisbeth and how she was killed after getting into a fight with her school bully. Norma Lee.
It's freaking crazy, man. The story with their dad and the freaking mom, bro. Those two freaking girls had went through, man. That ultimately, man, cost them their freaking life, bro. I can't believe the freaking cops, they still didn't, like, you know, do more with the investigation when they just called it off. They just kept an eye on it or something, man. You know, keep watch, because it's a pretty serious accusation, bro. You just can't act like that. Tell me what you guys think about that case down below, man. Disgusting, bro.
Beth Ramos was a 14-year-old girl that lived in Teotihuacan, Mexico. She was the youngest of three. She had an older sister named Alma and an older brother named Omar. Now, we don't really know much about Norma, but her friends and family say that she used to be filled with so much happiness and life. She wanted to grow up, she wanted to become a nurse and help others. However, as Norma started to grow up, that light and happiness once inside of her started to quickly fade. This is because Norma was being bullied at school. Some of her friends have come forward and said that the bullying started all the way in elementary school. People would make fun of her skin color, they would call her morenita, they would make fun of the fact that she had curly hair. The kids were brutal to her, and most of the aggression came from another student named Asada Eileen. It seemed like Asada was obsessed with bullying and tormenting Norma. She would make fun of Norma's skin color, she would make fun of the fact that Norma's family didn't have a lot of money. She would even tell the other students, if you try to be nice to Norma, if you try to talk to her, if you try to be her friend, we're also going to bully you. Asada would hype up the other students, and the minute that Norma would step foot onto campus, the bullying would immediately begin. She would walk into a classroom and people would actually throw things at her. But the few friends that Norma had came forward and told reporters that a couple of the classmates had actually threatened to physically assault Norma. One day, Norma went to the school bathroom and a couple of her classmates walked in and they tried to beat her up. Norma tried to put an end to it, and the classmates told her, if you snitch on us, then we will assault you. It seemed like the whole school was against her, so Norma actually did speak up and she told her professors about what was going on. She told them about the taunting, about the bullying, about the threats, but nothing was done about it. In fact, one of her teachers told her, girls will be girls. Basically tried to make it seem that this is what teenage girls do, that they bully each other, that they make fun of each other, and that that's just how things are. However, it wasn't just girls that were bullying Norma, it was the boys in the class as well. Literally everybody would taunt her, and on February 20th, 2023, Norma's main bully, Asada, confronted her and told her that the next day, on February 21st, she wanted to meet her outside of the school to get into a physical fight. And she told Norma that she better show up. Of course, Norma was scared, so she tried to tell the director of the school about the fight, but the director did not listen to her. The director told her, can you give me a moment? I'm really busy. And she turned around and ignored Norma. Norma just didn't know what to do. She had already told the professors about the bullying. She had told the director of the school, but no one cared. So she felt like the only option she had was to show up to the fight the next day and defend herself. The next day, on February 21st, 2023, the fight happened. There is footage of this fight, and it's very intense. Sada is the one wearing the skirt, and she just went absolutely crazy on Norma. At one point, she grabbed a stone and she started hitting Norma on the head with the stone. What's crazy is that there was a group of students just standing there watching this and cheering on the fight. At one point, Norma starts bleeding and the classmates actually laugh at her. Okay, more in part 2.
Crazy.
23-year-old out.
She had to go through all that, man. No help from nobody, but like she said, she was trying to report it multiple times. They wasn't paying attention, man. And they could have freaking prevented this tragedy, bro. Somebody would have just listened to her and paid attention, man. It's not that hard, bro, to listen to a person for like 5 or 10 minutes, man. Goes to show you, bro. How even sometimes you try to ask for help from people, man, and they just turn your hand away, bro. That's freaking crazy, bro. Man, I'm about to do some more research on that case, bro. You can mess me up, bro. I don't like bullies, man. Tell what you guys think down below.
Oko Tamura has been missing for 48 hours. Meanwhile, her brother is frantically looking for clues about her whereabouts, so he hacks into her Twitter account and begins scrolling through her DMs, and that's when he comes across a username that he doesn't recognize. He clicks on their page and sees an anime profile picture with a rope around its neck. The bio reads, I want to help those who are really struggling. Feel free to DM. It's spring of 2007 in Kanagawa, Japan, and a young girl walks into her little brother's room and looks up to see him and a friend from school dangling from the ceiling. As it turns out, this is actually pretty common for the boys who play what they call the choking game, where they take turns choking each other or themselves and see who can last longer before they pass out. The younger brother, Takahiro, is a seemingly normal kid. He gets pretty good grades in school, plays baseball, and has these really thick black glasses. And after he graduates high school in 2009, he starts working as a game operator at a local arcade. Eventually, he quits this job and moves out of his parents' house to Tokyo's red light district, where he becomes a full-time sex scout. Essentially, he's the guy that recruits women into the sex work business, but he's not exactly a good fit because he can't even talk to a girl. He solves this by using social media to lure women to him, but eventually Takahiro gets a bad rep around the community for being a creep. The workers and other scouts start telling the women to watch out for that guy and begin posting his pictures online. Eventually, he's arrested for getting a woman involved in sex work, but receives a suspended jail sentence, so he's released shortly after. And when he gets out, he moves to a town called Zama, where he lives in a one-bedroom apartment that later becomes his house of horrors. He then sets up 2 accounts, where he starts hunting vulnerable women through various hashtags on Twitter. He uses hashtag I want to die and hashtag suicide recruitment to privately DM those who interact with his posts. On August 22nd, 2017, one of the women who DMs him, Mizuki Miura, agrees to meet Takahiro at a local bar before going to an arcade. However, he's quite disappointed when she brings her boyfriend Shogo along, but he convinces the young girl to come back to his apartment alone, where she's never seen again. A few days pass by, and Shogo goes to Takahiro's apartment looking for his girlfriend, but he too disappears. Over the next 2 months, several local women mysteriously disappear, and the most recent of which is 23-year-old Ayoko Tamura. Her brother is reading through her DMs when he comes across a profile at Hanging Pro, and the account has an avatar with a noose around its neck and crimson-colored wrists. He then comes across a tweet that reads, "If you are at a dead end, please consult me." Ayoko's brother then files a missing persons report with the police, and investigators come across another Twitter account that belongs to the same user. On this profile, he's a lonely guy who just wants to die, but not alone. In the meantime, the brother is doing some investigative work himself, and he sees various women are engaging with both of these accounts, so he begins messaging them to see if he can find any information about the whereabouts of his sister. Eventually, one of these women messages him back, so they agree to make a fake date to catch the Hanging Pro. Halloween night 2017. The woman is on her way to meet Takahiro at a nearby train station, and when she arrives, he's already sitting there waiting for her. They begin to make their way back to his apartment. He unlocks the door, they walk inside, and it's at that moment that they hear a knock at the door. Police then come barging through the door and grab Takahiro, demanding to know where Ayoko is, and he calmly looks at them and says, "She's in there." The officers turn and look and see a small cooler on the floor, and when they open it up, they find her head. They proceed to search the rest of the apartment, where they find the body parts of 8 other victims scattered in various boxes and coolers. Takahiro tells the officers that he kept everything that didn't decompose because he's afraid of getting caught, and he'd even tried to cover up the smell with kitty litter, but obviously this didn't work. When his neighbors are questioned, they too say that his place always smelled, but they had assumed it was the sewage. They also go on to say that Takahiro was always taking out his trash, and now they know the reason why. Autopsy reports show he's claimed the lives of 9 victims, 8 women and 1 man, all in the span of just 2 months. The report also shows that the cause of death for the victims was quite similar. All their bodies were dismembered, and they had red marks on their neck, hinting that Takahiro had choked them to death, something he had done since he was a kid. Takahiro Shiraishi is arrested and accused of 9 counts of murder. His ex-girlfriend later tells reporters that she had received a text from him saying, "I killed a hostess who wanted to die, but she took it as a joke." The defense team actually runs with this logic, saying that since his victims had consented to be murdered, his charges should be significantly reduced. Takahiro, however, disagrees and says that when it came to it, none of these women truly wanted to die, so he pleads guilty to all 9 counts, showing absolutely no remorse and admitting that he was only sorry that he got caught. He's then sentenced to death, which ironically is carried out by hanging in Japan. Takahiro is currently waiting on death row, where inmates wait days, sometimes years, before they're executed, and they're not told until the day it happens.
Imagine being buried under a...
Crazy, bro. He killed all those people in the span of 2 months, and at the end, man, saying how he just showed no remorse, bro. And how he tried to freaking use the freaking profiles on Twitter, man. People who were like at a low point in their life, man, and those are all those freaking victims, bro. Crazy, 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 man. That was in Japan too. I don't know, not Japan, Tokyo, somewhere. Tell me what you guys think about that creepy and bone chilling case down below, bro.
Kitchen floor. This is the horrific true crime of Andrew Innes, requested by a follower. Back in 2020, Lynn Burke, the 25-year-old Filipino mother, was sat at home, like many of us, during the lockdown in the UK. Her home was far from where she was raised. It was in Bristol in England. After heading to the UK a couple of years earlier from the Philippines back in 2019, Lynn Burke was expecting a happy and new adventure with her husband, Lexington. They met in her homeland, fell in love, got married before making the big decision to leave her homeland and return to the UK with Lexington, a decision that would later leave her viciously mutilated. Her and her husband would have a beautiful little girl together, which they would name Jellica. Unfortunately, family life wasn't meant to be for the three of them, as it's claimed that Lexington became more aggressive since returning back to the UK, a different character to the one that Lynn had met. The couple would decide to end their relationship mutually. Lynn was now stuck in a foreign land to her, in Bristol, during a pandemic. The only little light she had was the little Jellica. She decided to try and meet someone new and joined a dating site called Filipinian Cupid. Initially looking to perhaps find another Filipinian to date, but instead she found a much older Scottish man named Andrew Innes. Andrew had smarts for sure. He had been at Aberdeen University. He was a computer gaming engineer. At 52 years old, however, he was over double Lynn's age and had some baggage too. Allegedly had previously been married to a Japanese woman over in Japan where he had children with her too, before breaking up and then being deported back to the UK. A similar story to Lynn's in a sense. At first, Lynn was a bit put off by this, but over time she started to think on it. Probably with the loneliness in her life as well, she decided to give love another chance. Big mistake. They'd strike up a relationship online at first, and apparently Andrew had even offered a £1,000 a month job to Lynn. She didn't want to leave Bristol where she had settled, but Andrew wanted her and Jellica in Dundee, Scotland with him. A whopping 440 miles separated the pair. 18th of February 2021, the couple would decide to meet, and Lynn would get a chance to see the sights of Dundee. Little 2-year-old Jellica would come along too. A couple of weeks later, there'd been no sign of Lynn Burke and her daughter Jellica. Lynn's sister had tried to contact her and at first was greeted with text message replies, but then started to get responses from Andrew instead. It said that she demanded a video with Lynn, and instead all she received was an old one. Andrew Innes had palmed this off. He claimed that she had gone off with another man near Glasgow and he hadn't seen her since. Lexington, Lynn's ex, had also tried to contact her for his custody visit of Jellica with 2 text messages and a missed call. There's talks that Andrew had claimed that Lexington was trying to take Jellica from Lynn, so Lynn had shut off her phone and fled, so this couldn't happen. It was all sounding very suspicious, and Shella, the sister, was extremely and rightfully worried. The police were soon in action. They had a missing 25-year-old and 2-year-old. At first they tried to gain access to Andrew's residence, but he refused. March the 5th, 2 weeks after Lynn and Jellica had gone with Andrew, they managed to track Andrew Innes' vehicle, doing that long distance to and from Bristol.
Guess not.
That same vehicle was sat on his Troon Avenue driveway. With this evidence now pointing directly at Andrew, they decided to proceed and question him. Notably, there was a 7-year-old young girl sat on the sofa in the living room watching cartoons. Andrew Innes stated that this was his daughter. Under intense interrogation, Andrew Innes told detectives that same story, that Lynn had gone off to be with another man. Mounting pressure onto Innes, the police would keep poking holes into the 52-year-old story. During this time, he had claimed that they had broken off the relationship when he had looked at her phone and seen that she was seeing other men, before he would admit to killing Lynn Burke and say, "She's under the kitchen floor." The police would unfortunately find out that the 7-year-old girl in his house was in fact not his daughter, but in fact would be another victim of this depraved murderer. With her testimony, this is what happened.
Oh, so he killed the mother, but the daughter survived? Not knowing her mom was on the freaking kitchen floors, bro. Bone-telling story, bro. That's crazy, man. Crazy, bro. YouTube, that's it, man, for this video for you guys today, man. Like I said, tell me in the comment section down below, guys, what do you guys think about these cases that we review together, man? Like I said, don't believe me, don't believe the video, man. Like I said, always do your own research. Like I said, guys, in order for us to grow even faster, man, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, man. I would really appreciate the support. Spread the word about the channel. Trying to hit 1,000 subscribers, man. So let's hit this mark. Guys, gonna catch you in the next one. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. You guys already know what we do here, man. We break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, man, from YouTube videos to TikToks to IG Reels. Anything weird, usual, unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. Found the good one for you guys today, man. Let's check it out.
And they were both found dead. She must have been out of her head.
God, this is literally the dumbest man on earth. Hi, my name is Ethan, and here's everything you need to know in under 1 minute. On June 26, 2023, Patrick Profright and his wife were having an argument. Now, they had just had a baby that was only 3 weeks old, so the argument was early in the morning, which is understandable because they are suffering from lack of sleep and just a whole new adjustment. While Patrick's wife was holding the baby, Patrick entered the room holding a crossbow. The mood immediately shifted, and trigger warning, it's about to get dark. He allegedly raised the bow and shot at his wife. When he did, it accidentally hit his 3-week-old baby and his wife. He then pulled the arrow out of his wife and begged her not to call 911, but when she did regardless, he fled the scene. Thankfully, he was found and arrested and charged with second-degree murder and attempted, and his wife was okay. Unfortunately, the baby did pass away.
29-year-old...
I just want to know what's going through his freaking mind when he freaking, they said they was arguing over, they was arguing early in the morning because, you know, they were new parents and they wasn't getting that much sleep, so he came in with a freaking crossbow and said he accidentally shot his wife and his newborn daughter. Man, bro, how can you do that freaking horrific act and then say it was an accident? You know that's not a freaking accident. You walk in a room and you have, that's your intent to do that. Baby didn't freaking survive, bro. So this is a crazy evil world we live in, man. I don't know how people can do that to their own blood, though. That still freaking blows my mind. Need you guys to stand below in that case.
April Holt was found deceased in her home.
Her name is Lynn Holt. On July 28th, she woke up, drank her coffee, journaled as usual, enjoying her peaceful morning, hugged and kissed her 7-year-old son Denzel. Then her and her husband then went into the bathroom and began to argue and fight. My 7-year-old grandson put his ear to the door and heard his parents fighting, and he looked underneath to see both of their feet. He then listened some more, but he couldn't understand what they were saying, and so he looked back under the door again, where he saw my daughter laying on the ground. He then ran to his room. His dad shortly after came into his room, and he got him dressed and he fed him. And he then had him go check on his mom. He asked him to go check on his mom, in which he unlocked the door by himself and saw his mom not breathing with a bag over her head on the ground.
This YouTube chef is...
He did that horrific act, man. And the kid freaking saw the whole thing. Like, imagine how freaking traumatizing, man, that had to been for that freaking kid to hear it, to argue. And then for him to dress up his son and then tell him to go and check on his mom, like he intentionally, like he wanted him to see that. You know, that's gonna save them for the rest of his life, man. crazy evil world we live in, bro. Man, if you can give me chills, bro. You guys know the drill.
He's accused of killing his lover. Daniel Sancho Roncallo is a 29-year-old celebrity cook and the son of 2 Spanish film stars. 44-year-old Colombian plastic surgeon Edwin Artiga had apparently been dating Daniel. However, it's thought that when Daniel tried to break up the relationship, things took a dark turn. Daniel claims that Edwin threatened to release intimate photos of him in retaliation. Daniel states that Edwin was so obsessed with him that it ruined his relationship with his girlfriend. It's alleged that Daniel was really worried with the impact that leaked photos would have on his family's reputation. He was allegedly so worried that he would go on to kill Edwin. Now, the pair were actually in Thailand at the time and were at a full moon party when Edwin was brutally killed. Edwin's body parts, including hips and thighs, were found by locals in plastic bags at a landfill site. Authorities claim that Daniel has admitted to the killing and dismembering. Daniel has denied that the murder was premeditated, but Thai authorities state that it was. CCTV images allegedly show Daniel buying a knife, cleaning products, and gloves prior to the murder. He currently faces the death penalty if found guilty.
They found 7.
He tried to say that it wasn't premeditated, man, but they, like I said, it's the freaking the smallest details would get you caught. They caught him on a freaking camera buying the gloves and a freaking knife. So what do you need that for if it wasn't premeditated, man? Because he tried to end a relationship, or because he said then you caught him on camera doing something that he thought was gonna impact his family, decided to do the unthinkable, just decided to freaking take his life, man. That's what I say, you gotta be careful, man, with, who you be with, man, because, like, the person you think that you care about and love, man, they can do the unthinkable to you guys, so always stay aware, man. Lost down below.
Bodies on a property while searching for 2 missing teens. Authorities say the 2 missing teens went to spend the night at the suspect's home on Saturday as they were friends with his daughters. However, when the girls never returned home on Sunday, their parents issued a missing persons report. After the missing persons report was issued, authorities say they were seen driving with the suspect in his pickup truck around 1:30 a.m. on Monday. The suspect, McFadden, is also a registered SA offender and was set to appear in court on Monday on charges unrelated to the 2 girls. He did not appear, and it was at that time a bench warrant was issued. When authorities arrived at his home around 3 p.m. on Monday, that is when they made the discovery of all 7 bodies. At this time, they've only identified 3 of the 7 bodies, 2 of which are the missing teen girls and 1 which is the suspect, McFadden. Additionally, on Monday, they said that he was also texting the person who he was supposed to appear in court on charges related to. Here's what those text messages said. Quote, "I did exactly what I promised I would do when I got out. I got a marketing job, great money, and was being advanced, been there 2 years now and made great life like I promised I would do with you." He continues by saying, quote, "Now it's all gone. I told you I wouldn't go back. This is all on you for continuing this." At this time, police have not provided any further details, but I'll keep you guys updated. What do you guys think? Drop in the comments.
Sounds like if he got out, he was doing good with his new job, or it was already going downhill when he was texting the underage girl, then talking about saying it's all on you. I'm gonna continue doing this, man. So is that if we can let him down that path? They said he was looking for those 2 girls, but they found a whole bunch of other bodies, man. Insane, bro. And they said he was a registered, you know what, man. So that's already freaking bad sign, bro. To think they gotta freaking locate, man, or if they found those other bodies, man. So he's been at that for a minute, bro. Just takes my words away, man. In that case, I don't have too much words to describe that case, bro. Let's move on.
A wedding in Iraq has turned into total devastation after 119 of the guests were killed after the venue caught fire. Even more horrific is the fact that 27 of those people were under the age of 12. The tragedy took place this past Tuesday when 1,000 of the wedding guests were watching the bride and groom do the traditional first dance. To make the moment more special, the venue lit off these 4 giant sparklers, which caught the chandelier above on fire. Please be warned, the video I'm about to show is hard to watch.
Okay.
So these sparklers go off, and it caught the chandelier on fire.
See right there. Man. Imagine people's going through their damn.
And to make this even more frightening, once the building caught fire, the lights went out. Without being able to see, having zero emergency exit, and there was no sprinkler system, people were unable to find their way to the main entrance. It took just minutes for the entire building to be engulfed in flames. Unbeknownst to anyone at the time, the walls of this building were made of the very flammable polyethylene. Prime Minister Sudani went to visit the more than 80 people still in the hospital. He also said that 12 people have been life-flighted to other countries to their burn unit. Authorities are holding the owner of the building, his 2 business partners, and the mayor accountable for this horrific tragedy. It recently came out that all of them were aware of the fact that this building did not meet the fire safety regulations. The Prime Minister has also said that people will be held accountable and the victims will receive compensation. Fortunately, the bride and groom both survived, and of course this tragedy was not their fault, but they said they feel so much shame over what has happened, they're going to leave the town.
That's freaking crazy, bro. When it's supposed to be one of the most happiest days in your life, and it turned to a freaking complete massacre because some guys, man, people, they just wanted to skip out on money and just try to save, man. They used bad material, and I heard that there was no emergency exit and there was no sprinklers. I'm like, but what the hell were they doing? They said 119 people lost their lives in that fire, bro. You saw in the video, man, when the sparklers went up, it just freaking instantly caught fire, man. And there was no lights when it went out in the dark, so imagine all the freaking panic and chaos, people running and crap, bro. It's a bone-chilling case, man. Leave you guys' thoughts on that down below. How's that?
What if it happened
That's
to
the
you
edit,
on a
right?
trip for a day on a bridge where there wasn't a rail in the way or a neighborhood street where
A man is charged with murder after joking that his ex would end up like Gabby Petito. 26-year-old Madeline Kingsbury from Minnesota was found dead in June. She was a mother of 2 and dropped her children off at daycare on March the 31st, shortly before going missing under suspicious circumstances. She was tragically discovered dead on June the 7th in a wooded area in Fillmore County. At the time she went missing, her ex-boyfriend, 29-year-old Adam Fravel, denied any involvement. He stated, "I want the mother of my 5-year-old and 2-year-old to be found and brought home safely. I want that more than anything." However, behind the scenes, things had not been as they seemed. The pair were newly separated and were in the process of moving out of their home together. They had apparently had an on-off relationship. Madeline's body was discovered near a rural property owned by Adam's parents. She was wrapped in a grey fitted sheet which had apparently come from the home that they shared together. He was arrested the same day that Madeline's remains were found. When being arrested by police, Adam unnervingly mentioned Gabby Petito multiple times. Police state that he admitted to being infatuated with the Gabby Petito case. He also admitted that he made a statement to Madeline about her ending up like Gabby. For those that don't know the Gabby Petito case, she was a 22-year-old girl who was strangled to death by her fiancé back in 2021. Police state that Adam claimed he was trying to make a joke. Texts were also found between the pair in 2021, and in one text, Madeline references a physical altercation they had. She wrote, "You know I'm not really okay with or over the fact that you put your hand around my neck and pushed me down in front of the kids earlier." Adam is charged with her murder and could face life in prison.
So this guy,
You know, it's a bad sign, man. Like, he's freaking obsessed with a case about a husband strangling his freaking wife to death, and he was putting his hands on her, man. That was a really bad sign, bro. And then to make a joke like that, that's not something you freaking joke about, bro. So it's like, the signs are dead, man. And I don't know if she could see it or not, but obviously that freaking case went to his head, and he got infatuated with it, and he took it freaking too far, bro. And it freaking just ended that freaking woman's life.
serial killer who I'd never heard of killed a lot of people. Just a few days ago, this dude decides, hey, you know what would be a great idea is making inappropriate comments about my cellmate's children. Now, the cellmate happened to be a convicted murderer. I know what you're thinking, that's a recipe for some swift fucking justice, and you'd be right. So what this guy Billy Shamirmir would do was he would break into these senior living homes, or he would just knock on these old women's doors at their houses and be like, hey, maintenance. And once he was inside, it would always be the same. He would put a pillow over their face until they weren't breathing anymore. And why? What was the motive in all this? He just wanted their jewelry. He just wanted their belongings. 7 of 91-year-old Mary Bartell's neighbors had turned up dead in their retirement home before Mary got a knock on her door, but there was no concern in the air because all the deaths were just ruled natural causes. He told her, just go to bed, don't fight me, and then he forced that pillow over her face. But this time things went a little different. He left thinking he finished what he came to do, but Mary woke up and told the cops what happened, which prompted the police to start looking at these deaths. Now, as they're investigating this and they start to see a pattern, things going missing from the building, all that, they also find that a vehicle has been flagged across multiple senior living homes as being a suspicious vehicle. They look at the license plate on that vehicle, and it leads them to Shamirmir's apartment, where they find Shamirmir literally with jewelry in his hands in the parking lot of his building, having just disposed of a jewelry box. A jewelry box of another 81-year-old woman who, when they go to her house, find her deceased with a lipstick-stained pillow by her side. Now, he had done this to 22 women over a 2-year period, and what also probably made it easier for this guy is he was actually a former at-home care aide. So anyway, Shamirmir just earlier this week makes those inappropriate comments about his cellmate's children. Well, that of course turned out to be a fatal mistake, and Shamirmir was dragged out into the hallway and had a beating and a pen stabbing laid on him for the tiny window of 15 to 20 minutes before anybody working there did anything.
Freaking hear that, man? That freaking tragic case, bro. He doing all that to that old people, man. Then what? He was in freaking his cellmate was a convicted murderer, so why would he mention his kids? It's like he wanted that to happen to him, man. And if it had like 15 to 20 minutes before they even got to him, bro. I don't know. PPI would even crime or stuff like that, but I don't know, man. I was just freaking, just like all the stuff he did just came right back to him like that, bro. You never know, man, what could be your turn, bro. Tell me what you guys think about that down below.
This social media influencer was murdered by her husband, and it's the perfect example of why you should not believe everything you see on social media. Alexis Sharky was born in Pennsylvania. She was described as one of those people that just literally lit up the room when she walked in. She was kind, she was smart, she was funny, and she just wanted to see other people smile. As you can see, Alexis was incredibly beautiful, so it's not surprising that she built a following on social media. Alexis would eventually meet and marry a man named Tom Sharky. From the outside looking in, it seemed like their relationship was absolutely perfect and beautiful. Alexis would often share photos of their adventures together, and they just seemed to be very much in love and like they had the perfect life. But on a girls' weekend getaway trip, Alexis started opening up to her friends, saying that she was actually scared of Tom. She started telling them that she was the victim of DV and that Tom was very violent with her. And things would get even worse from here. On November 22nd of 2020, Alexis shared some photos to social media, and this was the last time she would ever post. On the 25th, Alexis called her mother and they started making plans for their Christmas trip. That would be the last time that Alexis would speak with anybody outside of Tom. November 26th of 2020 was Thanksgiving. Tom says that he and Alexis had Thanksgiving lunch together, and that was one of the last times that he saw her. By November 27th, Tom was reaching out to friends and family asking if anyone had seen Alexis because he hadn't. Tom would go on to tell police that Alexis had been intoxicated and he had asked her not to leave, but she did anyway, and then he didn't see her again. And on November 28th of 2020, there was a body found pretty close to the apartments that Tom and Alexis lived in. The body that was found was completely nude, and police believe that this body was dumped in the location because the bottom of her feet were completely clean. So it's not like she walked there. Tom would go to the coroner's office later in that day and identify his wife. It was, in fact, Alexis. And at first it seemed like maybe Tom was just a grieving husband, but soon his behavior changed dramatically. Instead of helping Alexis's family plan for her funeral, he refused to help at all. In fact, it got to the point where he was taken off as next of kin, and Alexis's mother was actually put on as next of kin. I'll get into more in part 2. Give me a couple of minutes to film it and get it up. It'll be down in the comments.
Huge trigger warning.
Said you never know, man. Behind these freaking Instagram, freaking pictures, these stories, man, that you hear, man. You think people got the freaking perfect life, man. They have posting on Instagram, make sure they happy and they have all this money, but you never know, man. Like I said, that's what I be saying. Sometimes social media, it's like an illusion, bro. That's not real life. You don't know what goes on behind the camera, man. So always keep that in mind, man. When you're looking at these pictures and thinking that somebody has the perfect life, they could really be having a really tragic life, man, or be going through a really rough time. You never know. I need you guys to start down below on that case.
For this case, as it is very upsetting. 37-year-old Nancy Johnson from Alabama and her children were found deceased on the 28th of September. The mother of two drowned her children in the bath before taking her own life. Her children were 2-year-old Jacob and 5-year-old Maya. She also allegedly cut her daughter's throat. She then is believed to have unalived herself with a silk belt in a hallway wardrobe. The children's autopsies showed that they died from drowning, but Maya's blood loss contributed to her death. Heartbreakingly, the children's dad, Derek, was actually the one that found them. He found the bodies of the children on a sofa underneath a blanket. Nancy and Derek were in the middle of divorce proceedings and a custody battle. Nancy also had a history of mental illness. The parents had been ordered by a judge to start seeing the children on alternate weeks. The arrangement was due to start in just a matter of days. The dad wrote, "The amount of happiness and love that emanated from Mia and Jacob was very apparent to all that they were around. Our house was filled with joy and happiness. Their future was so bright in every way possible."
Celebrities that disappeared and were...
It's freaking crazy, man. Imagine, man, a husband come home working, had to find that, bro. His whole family just gone wiped out, man, because of his wife, man. Because he said they was in a custody battle and a divorce. Like, she already had a history of mental illness. That just probably made it even worse, and she did the unthinkable, bro, and just took them all out. There's not too much words to even describe that case, man. It's just a freaking bone-chilling, tragic case, bro. I want to know what you guys think down below.
Were never found. Bison Dele played in the NBA for 8 years and even won a championship with Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls in 1997. In 1999, he abruptly retired from basketball at the age of 30, walking away from a 5-year, $36 million contract. On July 6, 2002, Dele, his older brother Miles Debord, his girlfriend Serena Carla, and skipper Bertrand Saldo left Tahiti on Dele's catamaran. Only Debord was seen or heard from after July 8. 2 months later, Debord was caught in Phoenix trying to buy $150,000 worth of gold using his brother's name, but he was not arrested. Dele's boat was eventually located in Tahiti, riddled with bullet holes that had been patched up. Debord was suspected of killing all three and dumping them overboard, but he took his life via an insulin overdose in September 2002, before he could be charged with anything. The bodies of Dele, Carla, and Saldo have never been found.
Some freaking brother did that, man, to him, man. How did it go unnoticed for so long? There was like no missing reports out for all of them, man. His brother was like a really, I guess he said he won the championship with Jordan, so you think he'd be like kind of like, I guess, a famous NBA player, and there was no missing reports, no missing report, no missing a person's report. All of them, man, and his brother took his own life too. It's like he wiped out his whole freaking line, bro. So we don't got freaking justice, man, for them, man. Damn. Tell me what you guys think down below, man. Freaking crazy, but like I said, you never know who it could be.
This is Funky Town, one of the worst cartel
Sounded like a
execution
clip.
videos explained. Okay, before I begin, this is a massive trigger warning. The video begins in some sort of room and there is music playing. The first song that plays is Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses, and the camera pans to the victim tied on the floor with some plastic wire, but the torture already began before the video starts. Because the victim looks like he already went through complete brutality. His hands have already been cut off and his face has been completely flayed, which means skinned. There is no skin on the victim's face at all, and his eyes have been gouged out. And there's an insane amount of blood on the floor. But the most messed up part about this is that the victim is hooked up to some sort of IV, and the IV is pumping him with drugs to keep him alive and aware, making sure he felt everything happening to him. At the start of the video, they try and slit his throat with a sickle and press it against his jaw. But when the victim begins to scream, they shove a box cutter in his mouth to shut him up. His screams are absolutely gut-turning. They kept going from screaming to gurgling, from screaming to gurgling. And as the video progresses, they take the box cutter and slit his throat about 40 times. And keep in mind, the victim is still alive and aware of everything because of the drugs they are giving him to keep him alive. Also, the killers are mocking and laughing at the victim the entire time. They continue to try and slit his throat with the box cutter and were going at his neck numerous times, all while the song Funky Town was playing in the background, hence the name of the video. The killers kept having to physically restrain the victim, meaning there was still a lot of life left in him, and the amount of pain he had to be in is completely unimaginable. At one point in the video, a man had his foot on his chest, holding him down, and another time they had shoved a pole in his mouth, holding him in place. But the worst part about the video is towards the end, where the victim manages to loosen his arms from the restraints and immediately tries to touch his face. But remember, the victim has no face at all, no hands, and no eyes. But instinctively, the victim still tries to touch his face. It's absolutely horrifying, and the video then concludes. Keep in mind, the victim was still alive when the video ended, so who knows what else they did to him before he died. Because they were literally keeping him alive just to torture him. This victim went through so much pain and torment, and you can make an argument that nobody has ever been tortured as bad as this guy ever. I explain this based off pure memory from the first time I saw the video, because I won't dare watch it again because it's that gruesome. Everybody who saw videos like this always say Funky Town is the worst of the worst. And I honestly think that might be true, so please don't watch it and please don't search it up.
This is probably one of the worst.
That's freaking crazy, man. Like I said, he had to describe that basically off of memory, bro. Only one time, so that like burned into his damn freaking sight, man. Like I said, when you be seeing those freaking crazy stories, I don't see how some people could watch it, man. It just makes my stomach turn and kind of like that. That type of videos, I won't dare to watch, bro. Damn, say he got that based off of memory, man. Chills down my damn spine, bro. So what you guys think of Funky Town gore?
Worst true crime cases that I've ever heard of. In August of 2019, David Sumney brutally beat his mom to death and then took 277 photos on his cell phone of the gruesome crime scene. The photos included selfies with her body, posing with blood smeared on his face, and even a photo of him giving a thumbs up. After he brutally killed her, he put her body in the bathtub and proceeded to record himself washing off her corpse. When the family couldn't get a hold of 67-year-old Margaret Sumney on August 31st, 2019, they knew something was wrong. After trying for 2 days with no success, they had the police conduct a welfare check at her Pennsylvania home. When authorities couldn't reach Margaret, they forcibly entered the home where they discovered shattered glass everywhere and blood smeared on the walls and furniture. Upon investigating, they then found Margaret's badly beaten body in her bathtub. According to the autopsy report, she died from blunt force trauma to the head, neck, and torso. When interviewed by authorities, David initially stated he had nothing to do with his mom's murder. But when police searched his phone, they found the 277 gruesome photos. Along with that, authorities also found Margaret's jewelry and 3 of her blank checks inside of a hotel room where David had been staying. David was arrested on September 4th, and during his trial, a defense expert stated that at the time of the murder, he had taken a high dosage of Adderall, which caused diminished mental capacity. His lawyer argued that the murder was strictly due to drug and alcohol use. David was initially facing a first-degree murder charge as well as abuse of a corpse, and if he was charged with that, he would have faced life in prison without parole. But unfortunately, he was allowed to enter a guilty plea, which dropped both of those charges, and instead he pleaded guilty to third-degree murder. He was sentenced to 20 to 40 years in prison, but since he's been behind bars since his arrest in 2019, he could potentially be released in just 17 years. And the scary part is that according to prison employees, they consider David a model prisoner who attends Bible studies with other inmates. And this makes the reality of him being released so soon a real possibility. It should be noted though that David had been arrested twice in the past for assaulting his mother and once for attacking his now deceased father. Adding to this, he also faces a pending case for allegedly waterboarding and strangling an ex-girlfriend, which also took place the year of the murder. David Sumney is a terrifying man, and the fact that he could ever be released back into society is a terrifying thing.
Freaking crazy, man. I heard that all he was doing, he did that to his own freaking mom, boy. The unthinkable. But then for him to he can take pictures of it over like this at 200 pictures, man. And he freaking dropped the charges, and he's talking about how he's a role model citizen, and how he said he might be released in like 17, freaking at 20 years, bro. And he had a history too, because he did it with his father, his girlfriend, man, and he still just freaking decided to drop those 2 charges, man. Sometimes like the justice system, man, that's how sometimes people say it works, and sometimes it doesn't. That's why there's always that constant debate, bro. Freaking cases are crazy, bro. YouTube, that's it, man, for this video for you guys today, man. Like I said, guys, in order for us to grow and expand, man, I need you guys to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, man. Also hit that post notification bell so you guys get notified when I drop my videos. And if you want to stay up to date with me, follow all my social media so you can always you know, just know what I'm doing, stuff like that. Like I said, tell me in the comment section down below, guys, what you guys think I can do to improve the videos, man. Like I said, guys, don't worry. I'm working on sometimes I'm improving the equipment, but I just gotta work with what I have right now. Guys, I'm catching the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.